Welcome to Copper's Bright New Age, a video series that celebrates the large volumes of copper being used in the fastest-growing energy technologies of our time. It is increasingly obvious that during the 21st century, the world will move from an energy landscape dominated by fossil fuels to one dominated instead by clean, renewable power sources, many of which use about 4 times as much copper. After hydro, the most developed clean source of electricity in the world is wind energy, and wind is number 1 for new electricity generation. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that an average of 40,000 metric tons of copper will be needed every year in the USA alone for wind power in the next 15 years, and the world total will be much higher.
Wind energy has moved from the margin into the mainstream. But wind energy is really the fastest growing source of new electricity generation in the world and has been for some time. Today in Canada, what we see is that wind is cheaper than coal if coal has to put any form of environmental requirement in place to deal with carbon emissions. Wind is cost competitive with new hydro. Wind is definitely cheaper than new nuclear. Natural gas is cheaper. But wind doesn't have or carry with it the carbon pricing risks or the commodity pricing risks that you see with natural gas. Wind energy does not produce air pollution, doesn't produce greenhouse gas emissions, doesn't produce water pollution, doesn't produce any toxic waste, nuclear waste. And because of wind energy's various advantages on the environment, the economy, and on cost, that wind will have a very significant role to play.
This is the lower mold for the B49 blade, which is part of the 2.3 megawatt wind turbine. Stands about 80 to 100 meters tall. I'm from the local Tillsonburg area, actually. Mostly automotive, logistics and distribution. Actually, I did work in this facility. It was a automotive distribution facility at the time. A lot of our employees, came from auto body and similar work, just on a different scale. We currently have over 300 employees. Probably be closer to 400 by the end of summer.
Wind energy is creating jobs and creating new economic opportunities, particularly in rural areas that have thrived and survived for a long time by benefiting from natural resource development, whether it's through farming or fisheries or forestry. What these rural communities are now discovering is that they have a new natural resource that they can take advantage of, and that resource is the wind. And wind development is bringing lease income to landowners who are hosting wind turbines, new tax payments into rural municipalities who often don't have an industrial tax base to draw from, and a whole range of community benefits or partnership agreements that are in place as a result of wind projects in communities.
In order to meet the local content requirements, Siemens made the decision to build a blade plant. The rate of consumption exceeds the rate of development.
Copper is a fundamental resource material for pretty much all electronic applications, and wind energy is no exception. The generator and the windings, there's transformers and substations, all the inverters, and obviously the power electronics as well, and all the little intricate connections that get made. They all require copper. All those various components from the nacelle all the way down through into the substation all require copper. The power electronics are really basically just computers, and they're just computers with different algorithms to do different things. And that those power electronics are being looked upon increasingly by manufacturers of wind turbines as being integral to ensure the safe operation, reliable operation, and ultimately the efficient operation of wind turbines. There's a lot of copper in that. The capacity of copper to deliver in terms of its durability, its malleability, its lightness, its obviously as a conductor, make it one of the best ones. It's going to grow in use as wind grows in its use. And
we expect to see strong growth in the industry continue going forward, and for that reason this still will provide significant opportunities for the copper industry.
China and the USA have committed to wind power and are leading the world in this critical clean tech area. Germany generates 23% of its energy from renewables, and about half of this is from wind power. It's clean, it uses a lot of copper, and creates local jobs. And it's among the fastest and least expensive ways to build a new power generation facility. Electricity from wind turbines. Another success story for Copper's Bright New Age.